Hey folks, Pat here from DNS. This Madison area fishing report is current as of April 14th. Before we get started, just a couple quick plugs here. The Southern Wisconsin Trout Unlimited Spring Fair fundraiser is coming up next Saturday. Get your tickets now. They are limited and going fast. There are a lot of great prizes to win in the bucket raffle. A lot of great food, great folks doing great work for trout in southern Wisconsin. So support them and maybe you win some cool prizes and yeah, help out a good cause at the same time. The other thing I wanted to plug as far as Trout Unlimited goes, Saturday, May 6th, that's opening day of fishing season. They are hosting their annual Riversmith fly casting clinic at Xander Community Park in Cross Plains. That's Saturday, May 6th, 9 a.m. to noon. It's a really cool event. If you've ever been curious about learning how to fly fish, they're going to have members from the club there doing one-on-one instruction on learning how to cast a fly rod. They'll have folks from the DNR there doing sampling of the streams and going over what trout like to eat. There's folks talking about how to read water. So nice little stations there where you can go through and really get a nice intro to fly fishing, and it's totally free. So if you don't have any plans on opening day and you want to get down there, it's a great opportunity to learn a new skill. Um, Otherwise, I guess as far as shop news goes, the other big news we have is the spring seminar is going to be kicking off this coming Thursday, April 20th. We're going to have Austin Rogotsky in talking about walleyes on hair. That means he's going to be talking about hair jigs and pumping walleye flies on river systems. Austin, of course, is a very talented local guide and should be a really interesting presentation. I get a lot of folks in here that are curious to learn more about walleye flies, so should be a great presentation. Then we got Ron Bearfield on the 27th talking about tactics on the Wisconsin River, outside the box tactics. And then Noah Humfeld will be in on May 4th talking about opening day strategies. That's the Thursday right before opening day. And of course, these are free to all, and we'll be doing those at 7 p.m. here at the shops. And we're also giving away some door prizes, so they're always a lot of fun, and happy to keep that tradition going here. Um, Otherwise, as far as the report goes, we had some gorgeous temperatures this week, summer-like temperatures really all week, and it's been dry, and that's really got the fish in a great mood lately. Looks like a chance of rain Saturday into Sunday, but then a bit of a cool down next week. It's still great conditions to get out and do some spring fishing, especially now that this warm weather has kind of kicked things off good for us. I guess the other big news around town is that the Lake Mendota buoy is up and running again, so you can use this resource. It's through the UW Limnology. I just type in Lake Mendota buoy and it'll come right up. But looks like temps on Mendota are 43.5 degrees right now. I did hear down on Wabisa they were 48, so and that's normal. Further you go down the chain, um, you're going to get some warmer water down that way. So anyway, good to see the buoy back up and running, and yeah, it's a great resource if you're curious about what the temperatures are out on the Madison lakes. As far as report goes, I guess piers are in at all the major launches, all the major city launches around town. I know they're working on getting the smaller kind of secondary launches in. I'm not sure where the county is at with their pier installation, but they're usually pretty good about it. And I did hear that the state park over here does not have theirs in as of, I don't know, like Tuesday or something. So they could be in now. And try to give those folks a call and see what's going on. I guess, of course, with game fish season closed on inland lakes, you got get a lot of reports of local action for panfish and catfish, and early bass, of course, is going on right now. And with these warmer temperatures, like I mentioned, all that action has been picking up, and we'll get into some more details on that in a little bit. As far as rivers go, recent rains and snow melt up north have the rivers running really high all week. All the gates open at Prairie du Sac all week. Water's raging through there. Last I checked, the flows were at 36,000 CFS, which is normally we'd be at less than half that for this time of year. So a lot of water melting up north. I think I heard on the radio this week that up in Bayfield they lost 18 inches of snow between Monday and Wednesday, which just sounds crazy. So you can imagine a lot of water draining out of the north right now. But I guess we'll get into a little more detail up here. Haven't heard much out of Cherokee Park yet. I'm kind of surprised by that. I would think the bluegills and crappies would be in there pretty good. Nice shallow area. but I haven't heard of a lot of action coming out of there. A few pike and a couple bass, I guess, but nothing in the way of panfish like they should be. Things are turning up down here at the 113 bridge. I've heard about a few folks starting to get some crappies in there. The catfish have started to move in, it sounds like, and that's going to continue down into the North Bay as far as catfish or crappies up here, and then catfish out here on the flats up in North Bay. But those fish should be stacked in there, I would think. I mean, the crappies till mid-May and the catfish till probably early June. So yeah, that's always a great bite. A lot of folks coming to town to fish those catfish, and rightfully so. It's a great opportunity to get into some big fish. Otherwise, around Lake Mendota, I don't hear a lot of reports from the lake, the main lake itself. But I do hear that all your little inlets, so Mendota County Park, Pheasant Branch, Marshall Park, Spring Harbor, University Bay to some extent are starting to hold fish. They enjoy that warmer water, and folks are getting good panfish in there. The bass folks fishing around town are actually doing very well. Actually, it's funny this time of year people complain about having too many walleyes on their lines, but they are getting fish out there, some good bass and some good walleyes on accident, of course. There are folks fishing down here to the Tenney breakwall, but I haven't heard of much coming out of there. Of course, the area below the Tenney Park lock and dam is closed this time of year. That is a fish refuge. I heard the other day from Noah Humfeld. He was down there, posted a little video on social media, standing at this bridge up here at Tenney, looking down, and you could see some really nice walleyes swimming around down there, and lots of them, like at least 100. I don't know. It was pretty cool to see. But they're up doing their spawning, and we need to leave those fish alone so they can do their thing. Haven't heard much out of Lake Monona itself, but of course the crappie bite over here in the Triangles in Monona Bay continues to be great. Still hearing about some great reports over there. I have heard, of course, I made a post earlier this week that the dam over here on Lake Wingara is got the muskies jumping up. So that's always cool. Of course, this is also a fish refuge in here. Not going to want to take a rod down there, but it is really cool to stand on that platform down there and watch the muskies swim up to the dam. I heard there's some really nice fish backed up in there right now. I haven't heard much out of Lake Wingara. Of course, it's a small panfish factory. And actually, you know what? I did hear of a couple people getting some fish along the zoo shoreline over here. And a couple decent ones, but of course, you gotta really sort through all the small ones in there. Heard about some fish coming out of the channels over here on Lake Monona near Weechawuk Bay, formerly Squaw Bay. I've also heard there's fish up in the Winnequa lagoons. Those fish are spotty. It seems like they're in there one day and out the next, but you catch it on the right day. I've heard about some folks actually getting some limits of some nice fish up there. The Lattice Park area, these little fingers that come in, hold fish this time of year. This launch has been open for quite a while, and you folks are accessing Upper Mud. Heard about some good bass action on Upper Mud recently, and of course some panfish action up there too is always really good this time of year. Down on Waubesa, don't have a lot to report that I've heard specifically, but along Lake Farm is usually a pretty good spot. Warms up pretty early, and of course this South Bay down here is vast and shallow, and holds a lot of fish in the spring. Babcock is also a pretty safe bet this time of year, and I believe this is a fish refuge below the dam here at Babcock. But if you go down to Kegonsa, haven't heard much out of Kegonsa other than a few occasional panfish out of the fish camp area. Otherwise, I guess that's it for the chain, but moving out to Koshkonong and the Rock River, still hearing about some pretty decent action down at Indian Ford. Some pike and walleye and suckers have been being caught down there walleye and saugers being caught down there the last couple of weeks. Heard about some white bass starting to move in there. Same thing up on the Rock River. I've been hearing about some small walleyes near Black Hawk Island. Fort Atkinson has been holding walleyes that sound like they're spawned out. Walleye at Fort Atkinson and Jefferson, walleyes that sound like they're mostly spawned out. I can't remember the water temp I heard over there. Maybe it was like 50 some degrees. So anyway, the walleyes are spawned out. Sounded like the saugers are still full of eggs, and sounds like the white bass action in these areas is also improving. So that's always good to hear. Let's see, up to Beaver Dam, I guess the crappie action up here has been pretty great. I'm not exactly sure where, but some good crappie action up shallow, and the eater catfish are back. So lots of folks getting into some good numbers of eater-sized catfish. So if you're looking to keep some eaters, that's a great spot, not like the giants we have here in the Madison area. Prairie du Sac Dam, like I mentioned, is running at full bore. Gates are wide open. Boat folks are complaining about not being able to get up near the dam because of the raging currents, but I've actually heard some good reports from shore anglers that have been getting into some good walleyes. This time of year with all that cold water rushing out of the dam and going through the main channel of the river, the walleyes move up into the shallow areas to kind of get a break from the current and the cold water where it's a little warmer up shallow. So folks have been getting fish with minnows, hair jigs, twister tails, all that stuff up shallow, and some good females. And I've heard, from what I've heard, some of the females are still holding eggs over here. So I suppose the cold water has a lot to do with that. Over on Lake Wisconsin, the walleye bite I've heard about has been pretty slow. A lot of short fish, I think mostly up here on the north east end of the lake, I guess you'd call it. Heard about a few fish coming out of the grade and the fingers over here to Harmony Grove. Otherwise, haven't heard much out of there. Otherwise, walleyes, saugers still backed up at the Dells Dam. Water's, of course, still high on all these dams, but Castle Rock Dam, Petenwell Dam, all these spots are great this time of year for walleye. The only problem is the current can be challenging. Over to the Mississippi River, I've heard about some good walleye and sauger action. It sounds like some of the perch are still holding eggs, but a lot of those are spawned out by now. And then I guess I haven't heard much else other than the current is up. I know the barge over there was going to be closed a couple days because of the current, so might want to call over to the folks at Clements or something and see what the conditions are before you make the drive over there. Otherwise, over on Milwaukee, the flows over here have come down because they're not dealing with snow melt up north. So flows are down, rivers are much more fishable, and there's still steelhead up and good brown trout still up in all the tribs going up the east coast over here. Also heard about some cohos out in the harbors, so that's a thing. Over to Green Bay and the dam at De Pere, I hear is still holding walleyes. It sounded like last I heard on social media was seemed like about half the females are spawned out, so still some good fishing to be had over there, and they're still getting some big fish. Guess I haven't heard much out of Winnebago, but trout fishing around the area has been great. I was out Sunday with actually by myself. I got out Easter Sunday in the afternoon and had a great day catching some fish on caddis, dark caddis, black caddis, and saw some blue-winged olives coming off. A lot of fish rising. Fish are in a great mood now. Water temps have stabilized. This warm weather's got some bugs hatching. It's really April at its finest here in the driftless area. Otherwise, if you're on the spin fishing side of things, spoons, black and gold panther martins, great for fish this time of year in the spring. Rapalas, all these are going to be great lures this time of year. And yeah, it's a great time to be out. Don't got to deal with long weeds getting in your way. Don't got to deal with bugs. And of course, the season is catch and release only, and you can only use artificial bait. But it really is a wonderful time to get out and explore some really cool areas in our beautiful state. I guess that's it for the report. If you have any questions or want me to expand on anything further, feel free to call the shop, 241-4225. We're happy to try to give you more details, I guess. Otherwise, post your comments and catches below. And that'll do it for this week. Appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you Thursday at the First Spring Seminar. So take care, and we'll talk next week.